It was a cold start this morning, but we warmed things up nicely during the afternoon. And then going into tonight, some of us may get down to around that freezing mark again. We'll have more on this in just a second, but perhaps some patchy frost for those who are to the north and east. Overall, though, a beautiful stretch of weather as we go throughout the week. And how about this right here? No severe weather concerns. We deserve a stretch of beautiful weather, and that's exactly what we're going to get. Look at the numbers here as we go through the remainder of the work week. Highs pretty much into the 70s, upper 70s on Wednesday. Then a weak front will drop those numbers slightly as we finish out the week before we start to go back up as we head into the upcoming weekend. But it was a cold one out there for some of us this morning. In fact, for all of us this morning, some of those colder numbers were down below freezing. Meteorologist Brandon Woolley looking at some of those numbers and where we still could see some frost tonight. Brandon.
That's right, Michael. Officially at the Tulsa International Airport, we dropped to 31 degrees earlier this morning. The Tulsa Mesonet site just above freezing at 33 degrees. Oilton and Nowata, 27 degrees. Michael and I were talking about this before the show. Also, Bartlesville dropped to 27 degrees, also into the upper 20s around Bristow at the Mesonet site. So the average and years past, our average last freeze date in Tulsa is typically around March 29th. We did that last year around the 28th, late March, and March 27th in 2023. So it's definitely a late cold snap for us this season. Another chilly night is on the way, but not as cold. Far northeastern Oklahoma, though, from the National Weather Service, a frost advisory for early tomorrow morning. Michael?
Yeah, some of those numbers could be down around freezing for those of you around Grove and Grand Lakes. So if you want to protect those plants tonight for those of you northeast, not a bad idea. Clear skies out there on the Wade's RV Weather Camera Network. Our temperatures, they have been comfortable. 67 is where we are. That's the warmest that we've been so far today in Tulsa. And as Brandon mentioned earlier, we were down to 31 officially at the airport this morning. A few clouds working into far northern portions of the region as a weak front drops south. By the way, there's some smoke behind that front in eastern Kansas. We'll see if some of that smoke works its way southward over us this evening. Temperatures again tomorrow morning down into the 30s. Watch north and east where we could have a few of us down near that freezing mark, and then we warm up tomorrow afternoon, 60s to low 70s. Awesome stuff tomorrow. And notice not as chilly on Wednesday morning, a bit more typical for the time of year. And look at the numbers into Wednesday afternoon, mid to upper 70s. Thumbs up across the board looking at this forecast. As mentioned, we deserve a nice stretch of weather. We've got it. Highs could be up into the 80s by the time we finish out the weekend, and our next storm chances may not be in until we head into next week. Caden?